Hey guys, it's Mrs. LC. Today's element of music is timbre. Now, I know that the word looks like timber, but I promise it is actually pronounced timbre. And the actual musical definition of timbre is the character or quality of a musical sound or voice as distinct from its pitch and intensity. Well, that's a lot of words and a lot of big words. So I'm going to simplify it for you. Today we are going to be specific to vocal timbre. But timbre is what makes a person's speaking or singing voice sound distinct. Timbre is how you can tell if your grandma is speaking or your little sister is speaking, and you can tell with your eyes closed. You don't have to look to know who they are or what their voices sound like, because each person's vocal cords produce a unique timbre or sound that makes them sound distinct from each other. Now, how does this play into the musical landscape? Well, this is what I like to talk about when I talk about timbre. Timbre is what makes replacing a lead singer of a group or a band a very, very difficult thing. It's actually pretty common, you may not know this, that bands and groups that are around for a really long time often have rotating musicians that come in and out based on circumstance. So you might have one drummer that goes on tour with a group for a year, and then when they come home, there's a different drummer that actually plays with them in the studio. And you don't really notice the difference between the two drummers because the drums that they're playing sound the same. And if they're playing the same beats all the time, it sounds the same, so you really don't know which drummer you're listening to. So replacing instrumentalists in musical groups and bands is not a huge challenge, but when you lose your lead singer, which happens, over the years there have been groups that have a lead singer pass away or get really sick, or sometimes just decide they don't want to be in the group anymore and they walk away, and now you have a monumental problem, because two people can sing the same song, the same notes and the same words, but they're gonna sound completely different. And if I paid a bunch of money to go to a concert and hear my favorite singer sing, and then someone else comes out and starts singing instead, I'm probably gonna be confused, and I'm probably gonna be mad, and I'm probably gonna want my money back. Because going to concerts is not cheap. It's way expensive. So what do? There are lots of examples of groups that have actually quit or stopped playing or recording because they lost a lead singer, but there's a really good example of a really popular band that lost their lead singer and were somehow able to replace their lead singer with someone whose voice sounds almost identical to the original lead singer, which is really hard to find. So I'm going to show you who we're talking about. It's Journey, by the way. That's the band. And then I'm going to compare the timbres of both voices, of both the old lead singer, original lead singer, and the new lead singer, and then explain to you why it is so hard to find replacements for singers. Okay, so this is the original lead singer for Journey. His name is Steve Perry, and this is a live recording from Houston, 1981, so we're going back quite a ways. You know this song. I promise you know this song. But here is Steve's version, the version you're used to hearing, of Don't Stop Believin'.
Just a small town girl living in a lonely world. She took the midnight train going anywhere. Just a city boy, born and raised right here in Houston. Okay, time out. I hate it when people go on tour and they change the name of the city. Born and raised in South Detroit, Steve. That's the words. Born and raised in South Detroit. I understand you're trying to make the people in Houston right now happy, but that just throws me off every time he does that. Anyway, we're going to move on. Okay,
So that's Steve Perry. That's who we're used to listening to when we hear this song. That's the voice that we hear if we're in the stadium and we hear Don't Stop Believin'. It's Steve Perry, and he does have an incredible voice. He can sing really high up into that upper register without even having to shift into falsetto or any of that stuff. Great, right? Well, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have an example of a cover artist, a really good cover artist, singing the exact same song, same notes, and see what you think. All right, so this is a female cover artist named Genevieve. I don't know her last name, but she is going to sing the first part of Don't Stop Believin', just like you just heard, but with her voice instead of his.
Just a small town girl living in a lonely world. She took the midnight train going anywhere. Just a city boy, born and raised in South Detroit. He took the midnight train going anywhere.
First of all, brownie points for saying the right words. Second of all, she sounds fantastic, right? This is a great singer covering this song really, really well, and there's nothing wrong with her performance. But the problem is, Journey fans want to hear Steve Perry. And what happened with Steve Perry is he decided after having some surgeries and kind of being away from the group for a while, he did not want to participate in Journey anymore, which created a monumental problem for Journey. So, what happened next? Steve Perry decides, I don't want to be in Journey anymore. I think I'm done. I'm going to take a break. And the rest of the band was like, hey, whoa, time out. We don't want to quit. We want to keep playing as a band. But the problem is without your lead singer, you're in trouble. So what they did is they launched this nationwide search for the new lead singer of Journey. And they auditioned thousands of different people, some phenomenal singers. They weren't just looking for a phenomenal singer, they were looking for the singer, for the person whose voice could pass what I like to call the eyes closed test, where if I can close my eyes and I can hear two different people singing the same thing and I can't tell the difference between who's who, that's almost a perfect match of timbre. Well, they found the guy, and his name is Arnel Pineda. Okay, so here we are. The year is 2011. This is the Today Show, and you're going to listen to Arnel Pineda over 30 years after the original recording that I played for you, singing the same song. Give it a listen.
Just a small town girl, living in a lonely world. She took the midnight train going anywhere. Just a city boy, born and raised South Detroit. He took the midnight train going anywhere.
Now, I would be shocked to think that a person like this can exist out there. If I didn't see it with my own two eyes, I probably would not believe it. But that is the person that they chose to replace their lead singer, and they managed to do it really well because you see the crowd gathered. The people still love Journey, and they really just never gave up finding that person who had the perfect timbre to match what they needed to continue on after their lead singer left. So now you get to be the judge. You're going to listen to two recordings of both Steve Perry and Arnel Pineda singing next to each other, and you're going to compare the vocal timbre. You're going to be the judge, and you're going to give me feedback on what you think about how well their vocal timbre is matched. Hopefully, this explains what timbre is and why it is so significant and so important in music. Can't wait to see what you think.